Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Mornings with the Focus. Joined by Mr. Mike Sykes. Mike, thanks for joining us. I know it's been a couple Mondays. Folks been busy, obviously. Nothing wrong with that. So welcome back.
Appreciate you for having me, bro.
Yeah. Don't gotta do all that, man. You are not a new guest. All right, man. So round two of the NBA playoffs began yesterday. We got through a very exciting round one. Round two started off with a bang. They did not waste any time. Uh, with round two. So the second round started yesterday. We're gonna start out east with the guy you guys see on your screen. Despite a very rough shooting night, Giannis Antetokounmpo showed why he's the best player in the league. It's just we're all just living in it. I know people want to throw other names up and stuff, and that's great and that's cool. I'm one of those people where he currently has the most recent chip. He did so in dominant fashion, and until they pry it from his hands, we have to, we're gonna have to let this go for a little bit, right? Um, they were a road team yesterday. Celtics were the higher seed, and they walked into Boston and left with a 101 to 89 victory. The Celtics found out very quick the Bucks aren't the Nets. They aren't small. They're far more physical, and they aren't going to stop attacking Boston on either end. Drew Holiday led the Bucks with 25 points, 9 boards, 4 assists, 3 steals. Giannis, again, shot bad. However, triple-double, 24 points, 13 rebounds, 12 assists, 2 blocks, a self-hoop off the glass, just to let Boston know it was over. And then Boston struggled mightily offensively. And we saw them struggle a little bit offensively against the Nets. A lot of people kind of just really didn't say anything, kind of let it go. It was not a big deal because they won. However, they shot just 33% from the floor as a team in a playoff game. If they didn't hit 18 threes, that 101 to 89 would look even worse. I'm not trying to be the bearer of bad news, just being real. Jason Tatum had led 5 players to double figures with 21 points, 6 boards, and 6 assists, 2 steals on 6 of 18 shooting. No one shot well from the floor. They just had a couple people shoot well from 3. Definitely look forward to see how Boston adjusts. But at this time, they are the smaller team in the series, and that's not going to change. So, your thoughts, Mike?
I mean, I think that Boston is in an okay position, right? Because like you had Milwaukee, like Giannis was Giannis. Like I mean, there's not really that much that you can do with that, I guess. I mean, he shot what 9 of 25 and scored 24 points. And like that is like that's the ideal. Like that's what you want him to do. But then when everyone else is getting involved because the Celtics defense is loading up and like Grayson Allen is finding open threes and Drew Holiday's cooking and Bobby Portis comes in off the bench and does what he does like that. It just gets really hard to guard this team. But I feel like Boston offensively, like there's some things that they could probably do a little bit better to put themselves in better position. Like if you just start the offense maybe a little bit earlier, maybe try and get Jason Tatum some more favorable matchups. The Bucks are not like the Bucks will switch, but like they're not going to let it be an easy switch for you. And so I feel like if you can just get Tatum and Brown going a little bit earlier, maybe get out into transition a little bit, find them some easy buckets early on in the game, then maybe they're in a better position in game 2. I don't know. We'll see. Giannis is just incredible though, man. Like that's just like I it's crazy. I feel like I felt like all season Nikola Jokic was the best player in the NBA. And I still feel that way. But like I always say, like there are 3 people right now that I will choose from. And Jokic is one, Joel Embiid is another. And then there's Giannis Antetokounmpo, who every time the stakes get higher, he raises his level of play. And we saw that yesterday where like he's not even shooting well, but like this dude, like that's that dude. That's that dude right there. And that is the mark of one of the best players in the game right now and one of the players who is going to be one of the greatest of all time, in my opinion.
Yeah, and like you said, there are some things I think Boston can do, but Milwaukee dictates what you're gonna do offensively. Like you said, Yeah, other teams just wholeheartedly switch, and then you end up in those. Oh, he's food. Milwaukee be like, don't like that switch.
Mm-hmm.
But you can take Drew Holiday though. That's what you can have. You can have Drew Holiday. Oh no. Here you can have Giannis. But I wanted Brooke. No. You're not getting Brooke. You know what I'm saying? And like it felt like Boston was, and I'm not mad at them trying to get the favorable matchups. They're not rocking. And then the other thing you have is I love Marcus Smart. I think he's incredible. This is one of those nice reminders, y'all. Drew Holiday's been a bad man for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever Marcus brings defensively, I feel like Drew's right there, if not a little bit more. But Drew offensively, far more consistent than Marcus. And that's what I don't think people get. And Drew's just as big of a guard.
Mm-hmm.
Like Drew was posting up several Boston players. Like, all right, cool, we in the paint. What are you gonna do about this? Bobby, like, it's, and again, it's just one game, but this is why this matchup, and I like Boston. I do think they're very talented. I love Ime. They're big, physical, and like even with Bobby. Bobby comes off the bench. You can't just put anybody on Bobby Portis. You can't. If he ends up with a small, guess what? I'm gonna hit this turnaround jumper over you until they switch.
He'll get a bucket.
Yeah, it's a bucket. Oh, cool. I caught the ball at the 3. It's a hard closeout. One dribble pull up. Bucket. Oh, you left me open for 3. I like those too. Bucket. You know what I'm saying? And again, like, I think we all agree that obviously missing Chris Middleton hurts immensely. You're getting away from it. You're getting away with it by just putting extra big on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
Which is trash if you think about it. Like, that's not cool. Like, especially like this day in this NBA. Oh, you put extra big out. Oh, advantage other team. Milwaukee's like, no.
Yeah, the thing about Boston is they have a lot of size on the wing, and they got a lot of wings that play up position. Yeah. But like they also aren't that deep at big. Like you've got Horford, you've got Tice, and really that's it. Like Grant Williams is your backup power forward, basically. And so like you look at Milwaukee, like you can put in Bobby, you can put in Brooke. Giannis can play 3, like if he wants, you know, and that's a 6'11" dude who is playing you out on the perimeter. It's like, yo, like that's just a lot of size to contend with, even without Chris Middleton, who's 6'8" himself, you know, and playing the 2 and 3. You know, it's just like that is a team that also has a lot of size, and like you don't really think about them that way because like I guess when you think of the Bucks, like you just kind of think of Giannis, but like the rest of their roster is very well constructed and plays with a lot of size and a lot of strength. Like that was how they beat the Suns last year, you know, just by being big and overpowering them. And again, a lot of that is Giannis, but like a lot of other people on the team can do that too, and they're very skilled. So like,
right, I don't think people get what Brook Lopez is and how much of a factor that is. This is a guy, you know, several moons ago was one of the best low post scorers in this league. He's adjusted his game to be able to play, you know, in this league, step out to the hash, hit threes. But again, when you take Giannis out, you take Bobby off the floor, bro, how many bigs in this league are used to defending low post murderers?
Not even that, but when teams are constantly switching on the pick and roll because everybody can shoot, like you get Brook Lopez on the small, he's going to work. He's going to work, and he can do that.
How many times did we see possessions extended because he ended down there with Derek White or some other little guard, and the guard's holding on for dear life?
He is a unicorn in that he is an elite rim protector when he's healthy. He can shoot threes and he can take you to the block. Like that, you just don't find that in the NBA. Like there are bigs at the top of their game right now that can't do that. You know, and Brook Lopez is obviously well out of his prime, But like those skills for Milwaukee, like you can't really replace that. You can't really replace that.
Nah, and again, it's only game one. We will see how Boston adjusts. But again, Milwaukee's not getting any smaller. That's not changing. That's not changing at all. Again, when you can slide somebody who spends the entire year at a 4 down to the 3, just because, like, you know, you being a big wing at 6'8" or 6'9" doesn't mean anything when their 3 in certain lineup is 6'11", 240, and that 240 is a legit 240. It's not right. 230. Like, we saw Tatum body people in the first round. We saw him fly out the screen like, you know, like an extra on a cartoon in the post with Giannis.
Peeling himself off the floor.
Man, like time and time again, like, it's a foul on this dude. No, he's just a big dude. You're not moving Brook Lopez, and I feel bad for Robert Williams because when he's in, there's so many fires he has to put out as like their elite rim protector. And even then, their big stretch the floor, man. Like you're taking Robert away from the rim. And then if he leaves his man, you give him Bobby an open look. You give him Brook an open look. Like, and I don't even think Serge even got minutes.
He didn't even play.
Yeah,
he didn't play. He doesn't need to.
Yeah, and again, that's like in case of emergency, break glass. Here's Serge Ibaka. Like, they're a really big team. But again, it's one game. We'll see how it goes. And then Golden State continued this streak again. Both road teams yesterday, 1 game won.
Yeah, but that's playoff. That's playoff medal, man. Like,
and that's championship result from both teams. Obviously, can't think of Milwaukee's done it most recently, but Golden State's not tripping about going to somebody's house on the road and bad things happening. This ain't the first time Draymond's done that. They know. They've seen this movie before. All right, but the Grizzlies hosted the Warriors. Memphis fell to Golden State 117-116. John Morant couldn't get a layup to fall in the game's closing minutes. Felt like Gary Payton and Klay Thompson did a great job of taking away. Like, if he had another step, he gets the right angle to get that ball off the glass, but he wasn't afforded that opportunity. And you know, after watching someone in Washington who was that damn fast for so long, like sometimes just altering them off their path just a little bit, you know, sometimes it's enough. However, the Grizzlies probably felt like they let one slip away. No Draymond for a whole half. Everyone in Golden State was in foul trouble. I felt like he wasted a game from Jaren Jackson Jr. Dude went nuts. Like he went. That's about as hot as you could get as a big shooting in this league.
And he didn't foul out. That's big for him. Growth from last series to this one. All right, Draymond got ejected with a flagrant 2 before halftime. The Grizzlies didn't really, the Grizzlies weren't tripping. They were like, cool, let's get these old dudes out the way. Golden State had one of those Golden State third quarters. You thought they were going to kind of try to pull away a little bit. Memphis, I think it was Draymond saying, he likes Memphis because they're just unfazed. Like, you can do whatever to Memphis. They're going to keep coming at you. As the Timberwolves found out.
Yeah, as the Timberwolves found out. Like, don't get to celebrating all early. Memphis doesn't care. The next thing you know, they're grittying on your logo. Life comes at you fast. Memphis dodged a couple big bullets late. Yeah, Steph missed a wide open dagger 3. Clay missed the open 3. I'm not sure if Poole missed one in that stretch too, but like you let each of their like snipers get a clean look, and they all missed, and then you foul Clay. Clay freaking Thompson goes to the line and smokes 2 free throws. Not one, but 2, smokes both free throws. So now you're only down 1. You don't have to get a 3. Ja gets a full head of steam. I love that GP the second made sure he got all the way up in Ja, so it wasn't let's try to play catch technique somewhere because otherwise it's a foul. But again, man, that's a tough L to hold, knowing that a lot of stuff went your way in that game. But
yeah. I mean, you look at it from Memphis's perspective, like they just lost home court. Draymond didn't play. You had, like you said, you had all the missed threes late, all the missed shots late. Like Steph missed that 3 in the last final seconds, but like going into that, like he was not hitting
Yep.
in that fourth quarter. Like he had a really good third, but then he kind of cooled off, and then like, you know, you get Steph also one-on-one on an island with Ja that played before that, and Steph defends it like perfectly.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you got the situation that you were looking for. You got pretty much everything that you were looking for at the end of the game, and it still didn't work. So I can imagine like how that would be disheartening to a team like this, like a young team that is you know, trying to make a name for themselves in the postseason. But then at the same time, like you said, this is Memphis. They're unfazed. You know, Desmond Bain didn't play his best game. Obviously, Dylan Brooks was atrocious offensively. Jaren Jackson Jr. shot the lights out, which is a very positive sign for them. Ja can definitely play better as well. You just gotta, you know, tip your cap and go into the next game if you're Memphis. But if you're Golden State, like, you definitely have to feel good about this one. You obviously didn't play your best basketball. You were missing your best defender. You're the team point guard basically in Draymond Green. And like, you still got it done. Like, everybody got their shots. Jordan Poole went off for 31.
Yeah.
He was incredible. You compared Ja to John Wall. Like, I compared Jordan Poole to John Wall yesterday because that dude is fast. Like, that guy's fast. I cannot believe how fast he is.
You know what it is with him? Is the burst out of the move.
Yeah, he's got like the inline speed and the explosion.
He plays like somebody who has to live off being crafty, except he's fast as hell.
Yeah, it's like, it doesn't make any sense. Memphis got a steal yesterday, and like had I think it was Desmond Bain who had a wide open layup basically on the break, and Jordan Poole like just sprints, catches up, beats him to the spot, and like he doesn't make the play. I think he ends up fouling and like trips. But I'm like, for him to even get back into that play is pretty incredible. So you get a great game out of that dude, which you definitely wanted to see, especially since he was coming off the bench again. But you know, like I think Golden State, they found some things that really worked for them in this one, and starting GP2 and putting him on Ja, even though like it didn't really make a lot of sense because they were like switching everything, and Gary Payton would end up off Ja Morant anyway. So it's like you might as well play Looney at that point. But like, I don't know. It just seemed to me that like they found some things that worked. They built a lead and lost it, but like there are ways to keep that lead moving forward. So I think for them, like they're definitely feeling good after this one. This wasn't like one of those, oh yeah, we snuck out with this one. They probably feel like, oh no, we should have blew these dudes out.
Yeah. Because again, typically when they go on them third quarter runs, there's usually a finishing kick to it. Mm-hmm. It wasn't a finishing kick. It was because it was missed shots. It wasn't because they didn't get clean looks. And that was the thing, honestly, like going forward. Obviously, Memphis isn't going to roll over. I don't like the quality of shots Memphis is giving Golden State. I don't like it at all. And it's cool that in this game, it didn't burn you too much. Bro, if you keep leaving them light-skinned dudes open that much, one of them dudes going to put up 40, or two of them are going to put up 30, or three of them are going to put up 25 apiece. That's what concerns me. You know, like this isn't Minnesota where you don't have to worry about anybody. Like, it was just Ant on the perimeter. Mm-hmm. Ant was the only one that can hurt you. And again, not to be rude, you ain't stop Ant. So, you know, and I know the attention they want to put on Steph. I don't think anybody over there can guard Poole, and I think that's an issue. I also don't like the fact that you lost on the glass in a game with no Dre. They're starting 15 guards. And I want to give credit to Wiggins in that game because with Draymond having to go, with Draymond leaving, my man was the tallest person on the Warriors on the floor for most of that second half. And again, him and Gary Payton, and like you said, why not just start Loon? I just think it's because, right, just because obviously we know Loon doesn't move the best. We know Loon brings a lot of stuff to the table. But with as fast as Memphis is, man, get your plus athletes on the floor. I think that's why we haven't seen Kuminga in a brick. Come here, bring your metahuman self. Come out here. They got fast people. We need in little spurts. Come be a metahuman. Gary Payton in little spurts. Come be a metahuman. Like we need it. And those youngsters, while everybody was laughing, like you can't develop and contend at the same time. Their youngsters are going to make a big difference in this series because their youngsters aren't regular athletically.
You got a third-year guard right now.
Yeah.
Dropping 31 in what is to this point the biggest game of his career. Yeah. Like enough of that. Like I never want to hear that about them again.
Did we see the stress they were putting Brooks and them in at times with the three of them dudes on the floor and the ball just hopping? You don't know who to close out to.
Ja Morant fouled on 3-point shots twice in that game because that's how much pressure you're put under. Like you remember the play where on the sideline it's Poole and it's Steph in the corner. And Ja Morant has to choose which one of them he's gonna go to.
Dude.
He don't know.
Hey, look, and then it happened on the other end in like the fourth, where it was Clay and Poole, and they're petty. They just passing the ball back and forth. All three of them got quick releases, like it's hell. And then on the other side, I think it was Dylan Brooks, like, hey, bro, like technically I should run out as Steph, right? Or like the more established one. But old boy got 31. He got a burner too. So
He's cooking.
So again, that's where I am. Like, I love Memphis. I do. Obviously, they're not going to go away. Their defense, I think, is what's going to send them home in this series. You cannot give those types of looks up to these dudes. Clay shot bad, only had 15. They gave Clay some great looks. That's not the dude I want to give quality looks to. No disrespect. That's the dude we've seen. Like, you give him, he sees a couple go in. Next thing you know, he got 30 and you're in a world of trouble. And again, having Poole additionally, the stress, dude. The stress. And also having Poole, honestly, kind of helped them get over the fact that Draymond, the point guard, wasn't available.
Mm-hmm.
Because we saw who had the veteran license come off the ball, let Poole bring it up and create. And you put the most dangerous of them with the ball in their hands. I don't know. I don't know. Just I didn't like the stress Memphis was under. And great game by Jaren Jackson. Great game from Ja Morant. And all I'm thinking about is like Steph and Clay missed a bunch of clean looks. Like that's what I walked away thinking. And they were really clean looks, Mike. Like really clean looks.
Yeah. They just it just didn't seem like they had the Memphis knows how to guard them, but they just were not on it. Because like with Golden State, like you have to be on it. Like I remember just going back to those Cleveland series in the finals, especially 2016-17, like they had to be like the attention to detail on these dudes has to be top notch. Because like if you're slipping for 1 second, that's an open three for the greatest shooter of all time. That's the open three for his teammate who might be a better shooter than him sometimes. Like it's like you gotta step up when you're big, right? Like I remember there was a play where Looney had the ball on the right wing, and it's just Jaren Jackson is like 2'9" to him in the paint. Like he's just in the paint, chilling, both feet in there. And Steph's right there with Ja Morant, and Steph just comes over. They do the little handoff. It's 2-on-1 at this point because Jaren Jackson's so far out of the play, like he's playing like Ja Morant's on the other team or something. And Steph just pulls right up into a three because it's that simple. Like you're just not paying attention to the details here at all. Like you should know if you're Jaren Jackson that when I'm all the way down here and Looney's up there with the ball, it's Steph's right there. They gonna go into a dribble handoff, and Steph is gonna get an easy three. Like that's easy NBA right there in 2022. And so like when you see plays like that, it's like y'all are not on it. Like I don't know. I know that your team scouted this team. I know they scouted the hell out of these boys because y'all been talking trash about them for the last 2 years. Like get up there, play some defense, dude. Like. Get that 4 foul if you need to, but you can't let this be an open look. And like, luckily for them, like you said, they didn't pay fully for it because I feel like Steph could have easily. He went 5 of 12 yesterday. He could have easily went 7 of 12 or 8 of 12 to me. And Clay could have easily had 30 as well with a lot of the open looks that he missed off just the one pump and dribble and then open shot. Like if y'all are just gonna let them get those looks, they're gonna burn you. They're gonna burn you every time. And you just got lucky they missed yesterday.
And then even then with the bounces going your way, with the type of looks they had, you still lost. Like that was the one you couldn't afford to lose, because this is a team who's been here before. Like, you know, some teams like, oh man, we got one, let's try to get two. They mean that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like Milwaukee and them, and that's why dangerous things you can have in the playoffs. The teams have been there before. And I hear you, Memphis. I know you had regular season success against them. This ain't the same thing, man. That you didn't even play. Like, that's not playing the Warriors to me. Like, when you played them in the postseason, yeah, that's the Warriors. Regular season, I could care less.
This ain't that same playing team either.
No, it's not. And then the other thing that, like, the other added pressure you have is when you focus on all that other stuff, Wiggins got off offensively yesterday. And I know he flies under the radar, and you know, I know he's had a horrible second half of the season, what have you. He brings a great value to this team that people just choose to ignore. Or, you know, you got to go look at the box and be like, oh, he had 17 and 8? When did he do that? While y'all were busy chasing the merry-go-round of shooters, you're giving a plus athlete free driving lanes.
Boy, wide open under the rim. What you doing, y'all?
Hey, look, he out here just like, what if I were to slash right now? And then because, again, that's another plus athlete, he got a lot of fouls, just straight line drives.
Yeah.
And if it's not Jaren Jackson meeting him at the rim, what Grizzlies guard about that's a plus athlete. You got Gary Payton finishing on you people. Like
sick dunk. And Gary Payton's sick too, because he dunked on Bane and then just had no emotion. Like, he just didn't care. He's just like, oh yeah, I'm getting back. Oh, let me scratch my head a little bit. All right, that's all I give you.
And I think, again, like, you know, not to keep bringing it up, but like defensively having him on the floor, it disrupts. Like, he's just a natural disruptor. Like, he's a disruptor. Wiggs is a disruptor. And Poole plays solid defense. I don't think he gets credit for the effort he puts in on that end. And again, you know, you got big homie Draymond or what have you, and bringing in JK for a little bit. Like,
who's just running around.
Just running. Hey, look, Steve is like, I just want you to defend and run. My man got like 3 dunks just running. And Memphis is a fast team. Giving up. And that's the other thing. Do you think they're going to be able to tighten up in transition?
It's tough with the Warriors because, like, they're not with the added element of Poole, like, they're a really good transition team, but they're not the, like, we gonna run and dunk on you transition team like Memphis is. But, like, you also got to keep up with those shooters out there.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Just in terms of, like, you know how you were talking about, like, in the half court. At your best, you have to be on it.
Right.
They got murdered in transition.
Yeah.
Like, nobody knew where anybody was ever yesterday. And I'm also worried about that because if they were able to hold their own on the boards, that ball moves quickly.
Yeah, it's like, man, like you just, especially with the way that the Warriors line up now, like, because it from game to game, like, you really don't know between, like, the 3, 4, and the 5, like, who's playing what position. So, like, I feel like them starting Gary Payton was like, I don't know, it just opened the door for so many cross matches that, like, I don't think Memphis was exactly prepared for. Like, that kind of came out of nowhere. And so I feel like Memphis, like, that kind of bit them a little bit yesterday, where like you said, in transition, like, they were losing shooters, and when they found the shooter, somebody was wide open at the rim for a dunk because, like, there were so many people trying to locate the shooters that you just forget about the rim sometimes with them, and like, that's just the place that they put you in. Honestly, like, if you Memphis, I really don't know. Like, you just gotta kind of match up, like, pick a man and let that be that, man. Like.
Because, man, they were lost in transition trying to find folks. Like, it was bad. And then while you're trying to find folks, depending on who's bringing the rock up, you're giving up an open 3.
Yeah. Poole dribbled into a couple yesterday.
Yeah.
That I thought, like, I think he hit 1, but, like, he could have hit 3 or 4.
For sure. So again, no one's saying it's off. It's just gonna be tough, man. It's gonna be tough. But again, championship resolve, man. That's why you can't throw the old folks out just that quick. And then you got Giannis on the way up, and they got some old folks over that on that side too. It's been around a little bit. Man. And I know we get excited about the up and coming, the young stars, and that's what makes it tough for young stars. You got to go get some of these old folks out the way, and I wish you the best in it.
Got to rip the trophy out their hands because they ain't
out there cold dead hands. Like again, Memphis, all that stuff y'all been talking recently, man, this can't be over early. Golden State's petty. Nah. That's a petty old group over there.
Memphis, I don't think Memphis is going out soft like that.
I don't think they'll be going out soft. I just about their attention to detail. I don't know how well that I am so worried about that because with them, bro, if you're not on the little things, you're in a world of hurt.
Yeah.
And that's all I'm worried about. It's not a knock against Memphis or anything, but you haven't been in the water this deep yet. Where I lost my man for a second. It's a 9-point run.
Literally.
You know what I'm saying? Then even I think times like they try to off the dribble handoff, they try to kind of like trap Steph. Cool, I'm gonna dribble into this midi over and over until you drop again. And
that's how I killed him in the third. It wasn't the threes. He just pulled up for the middies.
Clean middies. And you can't leave the corners to come help. So
and he's hitting the roll man too.
Yeah.
Like he's just hitting the roll man. Draymond or Gary Payton is making a play. Like you either get dunked on or the pass is coming to somebody else. They'll reset and find stuff for an open three.
And even with Dre out in the second half, that ball was moving.
Yeah. It's always gonna move with them. It's always gonna move,
man. But all right, Mike, we're gonna shift over to some NFL talk, man. You know what I'm saying? So
let's go. Shout out to the Eagles, man. Hey, AJ Brown, bro. 15 touchdowns this year. Please. Need that.
That's what you need.
Jalen Hurts, throw the ball on time, bro.
That's all you need this year, huh? Okay. Well, we're happy to have you, Mike.
Yo, I actually gotta bounce.
Yeah, no, you're good. I get at you later. You good.
All right, bro.
Appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
I appreciate you coming on. All right, folks, we got Justin on. I'm gonna move over to some NFL just a little bit. All right, look, the draft happened this weekend. It is now concluded. It is finished. We're not going to go into great detail today, but what we will do is just share some quick thoughts on the draft as a whole. And then, we'll probably figure out a way to break this thing down over the coming weeks, little by little. So, it's not a rush job. But all right, Justin, we just want to take your overall thoughts on the draft as a whole, just from a bird's eye view, what you thought of this year's draft.
It was a lot. It was just kind of you were able to see just how different teams work. Everyone had their plans, and it was you got to see so many different players. I mean, on Saturday we were texting about, hey, this guy still left. This guy still left. That guy still left. It seemed like they all went to Baltimore, but just you got to see how a lot of these teams work. Some teams just take good football players. And that's why I guess it's so hard to just judge off Saturday. Like, a lot of teams are, first round pick and then they walk away. And then you see some, if they have a plan, or the board just falls a certain kind of way. Things can work. And you get these teams that rush to picks and we got to take a safety, we got to take a line. Like, if you wait, things will fall to you. Just keep acquiring talent, keep putting talent together, and actually go by your board. Teams spend 11 months putting a board together just to go take a guy that's not number one on your board. What are you paying all these scouts for? What are you traveling for? If all you're going to do is take a tackle because your team doesn't have tackles. I think that's what separates the good and the bad teams. And it was definitely an interesting draft because teams locked in on players and they moved whenever they had to move to get it. We weren't expecting that. But it was entertaining. It was definitely entertaining. It got a little long on Saturday because the TV copy was really bad, with all the little whatever they was doing,
Man, they drug some things out, for sure on television. But I'm with you. I thought a lot of teams had solid hauls, man. Honestly, I just think it was I know everybody instantly wants to have their grades and all that other crazy stuff and all that you can't possibly accurately know at this point because football isn't being played. However, you brought up Baltimore. I thought they killed the draft. I saw some people like arguing about the Jets. Man, they stunk. They killed the draft. All right, that was a good haul. I don't care what your numbers tell you or anything else. How many good players did they bring into that building? Right. So look at Baltimore: Hamilton, Linderbaum, Ajabo, Jones, Falili, Armour Davis, like Isaiah Likely, who some people had going a little higher than that. It was a good draft for them. I want to go back. I want to go to the Jets real quick because I saw some people saying that, and I was like, "What were you guys looking at?"
Right. You know one thing with Baltimore draft that nobody really thinks about is there's players that we don't love, but when you get a player at the right value, that changes the whole thing. It's not even that you don't like a player. It's when someone's telling you Kyle Hamilton should go top 5, and you're like, I don't know. But when you're getting them at 14 and you have the fit that they have with them, that's different. Like we talk about, Kyle Hamilton is perfect next to a free safety. You don't get a better, more rangy free safety than Marcus Williams. And the corners they have, and the scheme they run. It just, for him, that's the best place he could have went. So maybe, you might have lost a couple of dollars going back to spot, but you'll make it in the long run. And then, I think that's just big with certain teams. And then getting the center, the way they got him, and getting that pick for Marquise Brown, I don't know how.
Baltimore, man, that's it.
I don't know how.
You got what you got? You got to pick 2 spots higher than the place that you drafted him. Like,
right?
That's crazy, honestly.
You weren't paying him, not what he thinks he's worth.
Again, just great value. The Jets, like, I don't see anybody they took that can't help that team immediately. Not one person, which again means you had a good draft. Why people keep doing this? It's kind of weird, but you got the Giants. I don't know. I was curious about the Wan'Dale Robinson thing, but I'm gonna reserve judgment until we see what plans they have for him. I don't know.
Right?
Maybe they saw him and was like, "We got something." He said the Cardinals and Titans got fleeced. Oh man, Sid, that's where you at with it.
I'm throwing the Vikings too, Sid.
Oh man,
that Vikings trade is still like I was doing the math in my head on that Vikings trade. And I still don't know how Detroit went from 32 to 13 by giving up a 2, but getting a 2 back and only giving up a 4.
Look, man, I don't got the answer. I mean, that said, Minnesota still had a solid draft.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Like they had a solid draft. However, if these trades are could have come back up as talking points, if the trades you made with your divisions and within your division, those players keep you from getting to where you want to go, that conversation is not going anywhere. Because essentially you helped them. You helped them get what they needed. You traded with Green Bay and Detroit in this draft. Again, I think they had a good draft, but just keep that in mind, man. I really liked their draft. I thought it was solid, but yeah, I didn't think they needed to trade now. But I get it. If they felt like, the guys they wanted were still going to be on the board, who am I to tell them they were wrong, right? I don't feel like I can. Talk about Pitt being another team that just drafts insanely well. The Kenny Pickett thing I think we talked about on Saturday. I think that was nothing more that they felt like they wanted the guy who was going to be most ready to play. And I think that's it. And the fact that he played in that city in college, what have you, he's used to the weather, etc. It is what it is. But again, I feel like it's one of those things where he doesn't have to be, he can be a trailer in that conversation, and it's fine. I mean, they've won Super Bowls like that before with the quarterback as a trailer. So it's not an indictment on anything, but what I do like is the rest of their draft. I know that. Right. I like every pick the rest of the way.
You know what's funny? Like, we talk so much about having the next Mahomes. Then we had this conversation a lot. The next Mahomes, the next Josh Allen, the next whoever. And we keep looking at what were the Final 4 teams this year? The Final 4 teams, Jimmy Garoppolo was the quarterback. For a team that was, one dropped interception from being in the Super Bowl. Joe Burrow is a really good quarterback, but Joe Burrow didn't have a great playoff. That defense carried him. And Kansas City, you could say Kansas City lost because of Mahomes. Who else? And Rams, Stafford had a couple big throws, but he didn't have a great playoffs. So we keep saying that you need to have this high-level quarterback, but you look at some of these teams, and a team like Pittsburgh made the playoffs with Big Ben playing at 20% of what Big Ben is.
Yeah.
And actually, in the way that playoff game started, the defense did everything they could, and Big Ben wouldn't take advantage of it. So I just think, we go so overboard. There's other ways to win a football game, So if Cody Pickett making 5 years of rookie money, of basically nothing, not $35 million a year, and you're able to pay TJ Watt, maybe keep one of those receivers, and then they draft well everywhere else. Maybe that's just their way of fighting it. You know what I mean? Now you got 5 years, and they love Cody Pickett a way that other people didn't. Or like you were saying, they didn't want to take the chance of, hey, maybe Malik Willis will be great, maybe this guy will be that, and they just said, we have a relationship with this guy, we know what he is, and we're okay with that. Again, I'm just gonna put faith and confidence in Pittsburgh. They're just expecting him to be solid with weapons.
Yeah, that's where I'm at with it. Like if it's somebody else, I probably have more to say. That's what Pittsburgh wanted. They're not going to ask you to do too much. They went and got their bell cow for the future last year, Najee. He's good. He's as advertised, right? And then you're upgrading the weaponry around the quarterback. They'll be fine. Right. You got Chase, Pickens, Deontay Johnson. They got Calvin Austin III. Didn't they do that? Yeah. You got weapons. You got Cam Hayward's little brother, Connor Hayward, who's probably going to be a mismatch nightmare for some teams, depending on how you utilize him. You can put him in the backfield as a fullback with Najee. You can split them out, have them in the backfield together. It's a lot of different things you can do, and both of them can run routes and catch passes. But again, all this stuff to make the lifting on the quarterback not as much, to limit their lifting, and not going to knock it. They made the playoffs with the carcass of Ben Roethlisberger last year. So
exactly.
Not gonna knock it. How did y'all feel about the Saints trading up for Olave? I felt like there's a couple teams when they went up to get people. Clearly, it was the people they decided they weren't leaving this draft without. I feel like that was the case with the Saints and Olave. They were not leaving this draft without Chris Olave. They just decided that was happening.
That run started. That receiver run got crazy. I think.
Yep.
Like we were talking about, teams saw certain receivers and were like, okay, we can get him at 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. And they saw that run happen. And they were like, they already started designing plays for Olave. Like that's what I think. Pre-draft, they were like, we're getting him. Redskins probably thought we're going to move back to 2030 and we're going to get Dotson. And the way that draft started going, they panicked. They like, we got the jersey made for this guy. We got to go get him.
They, like you said, they had decided that he was a Saint in their mind.
Right.
When the Jags went on the clock, Chris Olave is a Saint. Things started getting funny. You're not going anywhere, Chris. You're our number one target, clearly, and that's that. And again, I'm not going to knock them for it. If that's the guy that they've envisioned and they can't see life without him, like that was their target, you do what you got to do. It's not, again, their defense was so stacked that it's like they could afford to lose assets to move up to get a wide receiver. They could afford it. Like their defense was.
Funny thing is that I think from the second they made that trade with Philly, they knew they were getting Olave and Penning. I think we even we didn't get the trade drafts was weird, but those are the two I think we mocked from day one. Was they're going to take the tackle and they're going to take the receiver, and we picked the two guys, and we thought they could get them later, but again as the run happened, they were like, we're going to get this guy, and then they got the other one, but it's. They knew what they wanted, and it was like, I don't care about second, third, fourth round. I don't care about next year, but we're finishing off our offense, and that's what they did. You got to give them. I don't know if they say credit, but that's what they went and they had a plan and they executed it.
Yeah, and then after that, they got the two guys that they wanted, and then they just went defense, just depth, right. Just defense for just in case, so we can keep adding to the group, which there's nothing wrong with. I thought Seattle had a solid draft too. They checked a lot of boxes of things that they needed. Offensive lineman for sure, you needed that. They got 2 tackles. You got Kenneth Walker from Michigan State. I think that's great. A couple DBs and Kobe Bryant, Tariq Woolen. another edge rusher and a couple wide receivers where you're trying to, the same thing we talk about with Cody Pickett. If they're choosing that Drew Lock's going to be that guy, that's where they're going with it. And upgrade the stuff around you, and then we're going to call good plays, and you just need to execute. Not going to ask you to do too much anything else.
I think offensively, like you're saying, they really decided, like, if Drew Lock's the guy or Dino or whoever, they went and got right in a left tackle. Like, the kid Lucas played right tackle, so it's not going to be a transition. He's playing right tackle from Washington State. So they're throwing him at right tackle. They're throwing Cross at left tackle. They throw another running back in. But just that's what they do. They like to run the ball. I mean, that's their plan. And they have the two receivers. So I think that they legit have a plan. Like, they think they're going to win. They think they can compete this year. And, I mean, that's what Pete sells. And then defensively, they added some just different parts to try to finish off the defense, too. So, I mean, they execute. I kept waiting for them to make that pick, that head-scratching pick that they normally make. Which some people say is Kenneth Walker, but Kenneth Walker's going to help. You know what I mean? That's the thing. It's not. He might not be the number one back, but who has a number one back? He's going to come in and contribute.
I feel like from the outside looking in, a lot of people question that division taking running backs. And I'm like, I don't think y'all get it. Running backs die in that division. Everyone goes through multiple running backs every year. And how all those teams play, a lot of them at the end of games, how do they go about their business with salting away games? They run the ball. Like, outside of Arizona, every team in that, even Arizona to a degree, even they'll run the ball. Like, it's what happens in that division. And I saw most people like, oh, you don't take Kenneth Walker there. Why not? The other two running backs ain't been healthy.
Right.
Why not? Like, you can count on them to come into the season, and then there's going to be at least 3 weeks where both of them aren't available. Then you're looking for practice squad players. Are you searching for this? Or can I get enough to hold me down here? And but again, just
also, you figure, like, everyone had Breece Hall and Kenneth Walker as the top two backs by a good margin.
Yep.
If that's the case, then you decided we want one of the top two backs in this class, and knowing the strength of the draft, knowing edge rushers were deep, knowing other positions were deep. Why would you take, like you said, that tier dropped off. There was a drop off after the second back. So in their mind was, we're gonna get this back, but we know the depth of the draft allows us to get. Did they take Woolen?
Yeah.
To allow them to take the corner. They probably knew the corner they wanted because he fits. He's a Seattle corner. 6'4", except he's fast. He's a Seattle corner, but he's fast. To develop him, the edge rusher they took. So I think knowing the board, not just saying following some standard that was made in 1970. Like, there's a new standard because the PFF running backs don't matter, but they matter to Seattle. That's all that matters. Run your system and your draft board. You got to go by that.
Yeah, I think sometimes it's that simple, and I think folks get lost sometimes looking at the overall rankings that are extremely subjective and have hardly ever have anything to do with the actual teams and how they might, actually be looking at it. Tennessee, I thought they did a good job of, getting some things for now and identifying where they're going in the future. You get Burks, who's clearly going to come in and play this year. And then, you go get your future quarterback, if that's who it's going to be. And Malik, you get him in the third round. You get a Okonkwo from Maryland, a tight end to add to your offense. Another wide receiver, Kyle Phillips. Like, where you were going. And then you still did your normal thing where you took care of some stuff in-house in terms of taking care of depth. But, yeah, man, it's a lot of teams just quietly went about their business. And, again, one of my favorite picks in the entire draft was Rachaad White going to Tampa Bay. Like, you have Leonard Fournette, and you might have got, like mini Leonard to a degree. Like, how did you mess that up at all? Like, what? And that's for Tom and post Tom. I think that's a great look. I like Logan Hall adding to their group up front. I'm trying to think of any other teams I just really like their draft. The Giants had a good draft. I thought they were pretty solid.
Yeah, definitely.
Indianapolis has had a heck of an offseason. You went and got you a veteran quarterback, and then you just been adding stuff. Michael Pittman gets somebody opposite him that can run. You already got Mo Alley Cox. You add Jelani Woods to it. Nick Cross, the safety from Maryland. Just adding to their team, man. I like it. We got Sid saying I love the Chiefs draft. Take a quick look. Yeah, they them too. Yeah.
The thing with Chiefs and Green Bay, they didn't rush for that receiver. You know, and they gotta give them credit for that because a lot of teams would. You know, like I think Tennessee worked out because Traylon Burks was there, so that was the right pick. Whereas I think being later, you know, in run on receiver got so crazy that you would have been taking a second or third round receiver in the first round. So they were able to get value elsewhere. You know, like I said, the running receiver pushes other stuff down. So they just grabbed what was there. You know, where Green Bay was able to get, you know, in some people's opinion, my opinion, the best linebacker in the draft. You know, and then grab the D tackle. The D tackle. So they were able to get 2 top 20 players in the mid to late 20s, and then Kansas City was able to add to their defense, which has been an issue. You know, so to be able to strengthen your defense, knowing that, you know, maybe you get the second round receiver, even if you got to move up like Green Bay did. So you added a receiver that could contribute, and you added receivers that people wouldn't have went crazy if you took them in the first round, but your value was so much better in the second round and you made the team better. You know, instead of reaching. You're muted.
Appreciate it. Like you talked about KC, Green Bay went and got stuff that they needed. Like you needed both of those things on defense. Your first 2 picks, you needed both of them. They're going to come in immediately and help your defense.
Right.
Wide receiver, you traded up in the second round to go get somebody who clearly you identified, and who I know you and I are both not shocked because I felt like that was somebody who's going to be attracted to anybody in that McVay Shanahan tree of coaches. All of them were going to have Christian Watson pretty high.
Right.
All of them were. One of those, I was going to be surprised if a team not connected to those guys drafted him. That's when I was going to be shocked. Then the other thing, they went offensive line depth. They've had issues offensively for a while on their offensive line. Great offensive line players. They just aren't ever healthy all at the same time. I like that. Add to it. You know, you lost Zadarius Smith. I like Kingsley. The value of getting Kingsley and Gabare that late, I think is huge. We saw how the slow and consistent development of Rashawn Gary, and look at you, Zadarius Smith leaves, and you're like, man, we got Preston and Rashawn Gary. So here's another young guy for just in case, you know, say Preston gets to going crazy, starts outproducing maybe a contract you don't want to pay him, or one of them, and you got another guy already. Like, I just think some teams were just taking care of business, man. It was just the right thing to do. Dorian wanted to know who had a better draft, Ravens or Jets. That's a tough one.
Let's see. I'm a Ravens. I don't know. That's a tough one.
Okay, so look, I think the Jets had a very good draft. And all those players could come in immediately and help. Baltimore had a sensational draft, and that's just where I'm at.
I think Ravens better value. Jets had to move. I mean, Jets had the 3 1s. You know, the 3 1s obviously, but having 4 tenants and then what is it, late, you know, coming back at 20-something.
And 26.
Those 3 players are, you know, getting 3 of your top 10 players, 3 of your top 15 players, it's hard to knock that. But the Ravens being able to stay where they are and, you know, not really, you know, at that value, getting Kyle Hamilton, getting Linderbaum, so, and then just all the way down to the Ajabo pick. You know, Ajabo's a top 10 player in this draft if he's healthy. I mean, that's huge for them. So, I mean,
the fact that they both got.
I can say Jets. I can go Jets. I don't know.
I think the fact that they both got like three of the top 15 players in their draft at different places, regardless of their value, is huge. It just with the Jets, I'm gonna lean Baltimore a little bit more just because it's what they do. With the Jets, you have another couple drafts like this. I'm right on board with you guys. But you had to do that. You had them picks. Baltimore was way down there somewhere, just like, it's going to let the board talk to us. Oh, look, it's Kyle Hamilton. You know,
well, they kept hitting they kept hitting on the day 3. Like, that's the thing. Baltimore kept hitting. They day 3, you know, pick round, 5th round, 6th round, just grabbing names you know that can play.
Yeah. Oh, look, in the 13th pick in the 2nd round, it's David Ajabo. Hey, look, Travis Jones, one of the best defensive tackles in this draft, the 12th pick in the 3rd round. A lot of people like Daniel Falili. Oh, look, fifth pick in the fourth round. We've had a very, very good record of taking Alabama corners. Let's go get another one.
Right.
In the fourth round with Armour Davis. They had like 6 fourth-round picks, and they went to go replenish strengths of their team. We know they always like to double up on tight end. They went and did it again. You know, like, it's hard for me to say, but the Jets did have a good draft. I think the Jets we'll go through it later, but yeah, the Jets did have a good draft. Baker was supposed to go to Carolina there to draft, but they couldn't agree on money. At this point, is he just getting cut? I don't know, sir.
I think they're going to hold him. I think they're going to hold him until minicamp, maybe hoping somebody else gets hurt, another team's quarterback, because I guess if they cut him, they're still going to they're going to still get the cap hit.
So yeah, they're going to have to pay him either way.
So they're going to hold him, hoping they can, they pass that money off.
Mm-hmm. And even just some of it, even if they got to pay half of it. But we'll see. I mean, I don't know when him or his best friend James is moving. We'll see. But I can see if this continues, how some teams kind of quietly want to get quarterbacks. Hey, man, some people might end up in free agency. You might not want it to be that way, but I think James more so than Baker. I think Baker you keep because of the age, just because of the age. But I wouldn't be shocked either way. Real quick, I just wanted to talk about this real quick if I could get it to share. Find this real quick. The UDFA signings this year, crazy, absolutely nuts this year. We'll put this up on the screen. Not well you guys can see it, but yeah. So we'll start with Arizona. You could just point out anybody that stood out to you, Justin, team by team.
Okay. Let's see.
And if there's nobody, that's cool too.
Right.
We don't have to make up stuff just for the sake of it.
The kid from Central Connecticut is actually my brother's cousin. He's actually a really good player, receiver, Tyshawn James. He's tall, probably runs a 4.4 jump ball guy, but then because he's from a smaller school, doesn't get any attention. But it's actually a good player. I'm interested to see. What team is that? Atlanta.
That's Atlanta.
Atlanta's really bad at receivers, so he made a
Hey, there's choice. There's room.
Right, exactly.
There's room and opportunity. Then we got Baltimore, who we just finished talking about the type of draft they had. Doing what they do, adding as always.
Anthony, I know Emory loves Anthony Brown. And again, it's funny because it falls into that same tree as the kid that played last year, Tyron Huntley. Like kind of similar to him, and he started off at Boston College and transferred to Oregon, and people had questions on him, but he gets in there and they have a way of developing guys. So it'd be interesting to see what they can do with him. And Mecca Measy, he actually beat up on Andrew Booth pretty good last year. He's a good receiver, really good receiver. There was another one. I just seen Jeremiah Moon.
Okay.
He's one of the Florida edge, really good bend, like a really good pass rusher. I'm interested to see. I thought he would go higher, but Florida had a down year, so I could see him. There was another one. Go up on. I'm sorry.
No, you good.
Kobe McLean, Auburn. He's one of those small linebackers, kind of like the kid that starts on San Fran now.
Greenlaw, Aziz, which one?
Like Greenlaw, he's one of those guys. Just a little smaller, but he makes every tackle, all over the field, and just an undersized linebacker.
All right. On to the Bills. Jaden Werdemeyer, I'm surprised he didn't get drafted, but if you're the Bills, why not?
They had the worst combine of ever. I think like a 12-inch vertical and just really bad. But again, on the field, the one thing I give him is the dude runs a great corner route. Like if you look at it, if you go watch his highlights or his best plays, it's always corner route. Sells that route perfectly, makes the catch. He came in this year looked at as a potential first-round pick. So you don't fall off that bad. Maybe this question is work. It's more of a question of his work ethic because you could be that bad, running a 5 at the combine and the pro day. So he was just bad everywhere. But some guys just don't test well.
We got the Panthers, Charleston Rambo, somebody that they signed. I'm interested to see what happens with Josh Babbitt's, the tight end from North Dakota State. A couple of his teammates have been drafted into the NFL. Several of his teammates, rather, have been, to see if he sticks around. The Bears signed like 19 people. Okay, it's more than 19. I'm sorry. Sheesh. Wow. Yeah, that's a lot of people. Master T the third. Okay. My goodness.
They didn't draft many receivers, but they signed 12.
And that was something that's interesting. A couple teams where people wanted them to go wide receiver, they hit the UDFA and took all the wide receivers. One of y'all got to pan out, right? Somebody got to.
Right.
We got the Bengals, Cleveland.
Mike Harley actually was a good receiver from and Isaiah Weston.
Okay.
Isaiah Weston's a bigger guy, but he can run. And a lot of people thought he would get drafted. I'm not sure why he didn't, but again, small school guy.
Your Cowboys with Ty Freifogel. I'm just playing. Alec Lindstrom, I thought was huge.
Freifogel's not bad either. Freifogel actually was the last year he killed somebody. Maybe it might have been Sean Wade, so I don't know if that counts. But he had a couple big games last year. Remember, Indiana was good 2 years ago. So,
yep.
Again, I think he had a big year, and they came in this year and they didn't do much, which kind of dropped his value.
Alec Lindstrom, I think, was huge. You had a couple interior offensive linemen that everyone expected to be drafted, like on day 2, not day 3, but day 2, that ended up at UDFAs and got big guaranteed money immediately following the draft.
A lot of the Dallas people would really think he's going to make the team. And Dallas wasn't really happy with Tyler, whatever his last name, Biadish. They weren't really happy with him. So, if Lindstrom has a chance to beat him out, or at least make the team, if things go right.
Honestly, I'd be shocked if Lindstrom didn't make the team. Like people had him highly regarded in terms of where terms of where they were ranking interior linemen this draft. Like, it was Zion Johnson, Cole Strange, and guys that ended up as UDFAs. So.
Right.
But go ahead, you said Big Cat Bryant.
I was saying Big Cat Bryant was a top recruit, and went to Auburn, and ended up transferring out last year and went to UCF. Again, I never really always seen it with him, but he's an athlete. A little undersized, but it's worth a chance for Dallas taking a chance on him.
All right, Denver. Looking at what they got.
He took my guy. Hold on, Christopher Allen. Christopher Allen is Alabama guy. Just had injury problems. They seem to always have an edge every year. Who just who flashes legit talent and. It comes down to a senior year, and they're dependent on him, and he gets hurt early in the year. Same with Christian Miller in Carolina. Same thing. It's a team banking on him being healthy, because even if he played 10 snaps this year, had 2 sacks, and had 4 pressures against Miami the first game of the season, but ended up breaking his leg, getting a sack. Made the sack, and the pile fell on his leg. But it was looking like he was ready to blow up. I've been waiting for him to break out because he was flashing leading up to this. So he's worth a shot. I was hoping to see him get drafted, because there's definitely talent there.
Okay. Got Detroit. I like Derek Dees Jr. from San Jose State. Man just wins at the catch point routinely. Being an Ezzy, I was shocked he didn't get drafted, but after seeing how the draft went, I get it. He wasn't alone in that regard on the O-line. Green Bay, another team with a bunch of players they signed. Again, a lot of them just looking for depth on that O-line, man. Got the Texans. I think they got most of their work done during the draft.
Right. Myron Cunningham was a guy that one of the guys I talked to liked a lot from Arkansas.
Okay. The Colts. My goodness, that's a long list from the Colts.
Max Borghi is a player that people like, the running back.
From Washington State. And they got C.J. Verdell?
Yeah.
They got Verdell and Borghi. Okay, that's interesting. Vandermark from UConn, the tackle.
He played in one of the postseason bowls, and people,
Yeah.
again, one of those guys people thought would get drafted.
Yeah, it was a long list of those. Jacksonville. Again, another team that did most of their damage during the draft because the young players they drafted should all be able to come right in and compete, if not start, just period. Kansas City.
A bunch of names.
The Raiders. I got Trey Turner for Virginia Tech. Yeah.
I like
Myron from Notre Dame. Also someone who I thought was at least going to be drafted. I don't ever try his last name, so.
Nah, I wouldn't.
The Chargers.
Letty Brown, I liked him. A West Virginia running back.
Okay.
Solid back. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if he makes the team, but he definitely has potential.
We got the Rams. What'd they go get? They signed several safeties, a couple of edges. Yeah, not shocked there. The Dolphins. There you go.
I like actually the Quandre White. He was at the Super Bowl. He's got some. He can run. He can move. He's actually a elusive running back. Catch the ball a little bit. I don't know why. I'm surprised he didn't get drafted. But again, there were so many running backs that fell into the same pile. That same pile.
Yeah.
See why.
And they snatched up Holland's former teammate, his former partner in the back end of Oregon, and Verone McKinley.
McKinley's the player.
The only thing was wrong with him was his the speed, just athletically, people didn't feel size, speed, but if he could partner him with this guy that he's already played with, and Holland had a good rookie year. I don't know.
He did.
Probably not bad depth though. To start out with. The Vikings, New England with Derek King.
Receiver though.
Yeah, it's wide receiver. They got a thing for taking former quarterbacks to wideouts, huh? They just love it.
That's true.
Like they just love it, right? To bring those guys in as former slots or just period. Those like the former, so many of their guys that are receivers that are former quarterbacks just end up on their roster.
Right. Yep.
Clearly, they value that those guys can read defenses. You got the Saints.
The Baylor running back actually was again, a lot of people loved him too. Was it Abram Smith? I think his name was.
Oh yeah, Abram Smith. Yep, you're right.
I heard the name a lot during the offseason, and I think he went to Senior Bowl also.
Okay. We got the Giants.
Deshaun Corbin's good. He's a good back, man. If you watch the first game of the season against Notre Dame, I think he ran for about 200 yards.
Oh, wow.
A couple long ones. And, I mean, Florida State's not the best blocking team.
They're kind of bad at it. The Jets. It's very nice of you to speak that kindly of them. They're bad at it.
Yeah. But Donovan Knight right there. He's actually
another back. So this is a theme. A lot of backs, solid backs.
Right. A lot of people had him, early in the season were really high on him. And again, just the way the board fell, people reach for specific things, whether it was home run speed or catching ability or all purpose, but there's still a lot of guys that slipped in the cracks.
We got the Eagles who gave a bunch of bread to Carson Strong. Alabama, Josh Jobe. Mario Goodrich from Clemson. Like, they found them a couple folks. Oh, Josh Sills from Oklahoma State. Yeah, a couple folks that should have been drafted, huh? Or people expected to be drafted. The Steelers. Go ahead.
The Eagles are weak on the other side. I'm sorry. Yeah, the Eagles are really. They have, they got a Slay on one side, but the other cornerback position is open.
Mm-hmm.
And Job was a 5-star. An Alabama and a Clemson kid. They're going to walk in there, and I believe they're running similar defenses. So they really have a chance to make that team. I think they gave Goodrich a good amount of money too.
Yeah.
So they picked the right place to go. Actually, to go to a solid team, and again, they're not going to have. It's not going to be a major adjustment where Josh Jobe was going against Devontae Smith in practice for 3 years. So it's not going to be a major adjustment in competition. It's just going to be putting everything together. I mean, especially Joe's an athlete, and Joe can play. It's just, he just struggled at the ball point and had injury issues, and also sitting behind and as former NFL players. So, Alabama believed in him. So there's a possibility he walks there, and if he can get things to click, he can make the team. Same with the other kid.
All right. As we get closer to the end, we got Pittsburgh. All right.
They got Chris Owens. I wasn't a big fan of Chris Owens. I watched him. One of the guys out that was struggling with his blocking.
Supposed to bring up the things you like. You out here bashing the UDFAs. I'm just messing with you. We got the Niners. The guys that jumped off to me, the two interior linemen. I see people complaining and moaning during the draft because they didn't take interior linemen when they wanted, but they took the guys they wanted. They got the exact interior linemen guys that they wanted. Donovan West from Arizona State is the classic Shanahan type center. Little bit undersized, can move very well. Didn't commit a holding penalty last year. Meanwhile, Poe is kind of he's physically his physical profile is more like the type of guys they're trying to change their offensive line into. A little bit more girth, still athletic. But yeah, man, they're busy. I think they're trying to get just maulers on the inside. But Donovan West is huge because people thought he was going to third, fourth round, things like that, and he was a UDFA. Somebody else I like is I like most. I don't think either the wide receivers that made the team or the tight end. I give West, Poe, and I'll give O'Neal and Alubi a chance to possibly make the roster. That's it. That's all I got. Seahawks, they got your boy Caleb Ellerby.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Caleb Ellerby, especially in this class. I thought he was one of the better quarterbacks. He was athletic, a strong arm, and made some big throws. And I think they played Michigan. He did well against Michigan the other year. And again, all the highlights that you're falling in love with Sky Moore. This is the guy that was thrown it to.
Crazy how that works.
Seattle took a shot. They went to the right place where, they don't. Hey, I'm not saying that it's going to be like how Russell Wilson was, but they got some quarterbacks sitting on their roster, and he can compete with them.
Oh, for sure. Bubba Bolden, your guy finds his way to the league and via the Seahawks as a UDFA. They were very busy.
He'll likely possibly. I mean, they have starting safeties already. But he's big enough to kind of play safety or linebacker, and he was a 5-star, one of the top recruits in the country, and just things never really clicked. Whether he had a good year, I think his junior year, and got injured early in the year this year, but he can play.
Yeah, he just feels like a Seahawks player. I think he'll make the roster as well. You got Tampa Bay going through with what they did. Shout out to Akil Glass from Alabama A&M, signing UDFA deal there. They got the Rutgers linebacker. Tennessee, we got Reggie Robertson Jr., who a lot of people were high on before he got injured, before this past season. Had he got through, was it 2 years ago? Had he got through that year healthy, he probably wouldn't have been in college the extra year. Honestly, people really liked Reggie Robertson, and this year felt like people went to go watch Reggie Robertson again and walked away talking about Danny Gray. But Reggie Robertson was on folks' radar, heavily talked about 2 years ago before the injury.
Agreed. Yeah.
Then they picked up a couple edges. Washington. Trying to see what they got that I'm a fan of as a UDFA.
I don't know. Some people like Tyrese Robinson, the guard for Oklahoma. Bigger guys, strong. And again, it's a lot of times with the interior line, if you're just solid at doing your job, you can get lost.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing that jumps off the screen. But if you get into a camp and you're doing your job, it's hard to translate what doing your job means. So now you go to the pros and you're like, hey, this kid's holding up and he's not messing up, but he's not pancaking guys or doing anything special. He don't run a crazy 40, but he just gets in camp and people don't get by him. The team can fall in love with you, but draft day is more of trait type things. You can, like I said, easily get lost.
Yeah, and I think we saw that all through the UDFA signings, especially on the O-line. Like, I think in another year, most of those O-linemen that end up as UDFAs would have got signs, would have been 5th, 6th, 7th rounders. And we saw some of that last year where we saw, what's it called, a trade from Tennessee go fall to the 7th round for no reason at all. And he played for the Chiefs all year. Like, he was decorated. He's one of the best offensive linemen in that class last year and just dropped. People found a reason. Oh, the injury. We're going to ignore the tape, just the injury. And let's keep pulling lottery tickets. Meanwhile, the Chiefs got a 7th round starter because he that wasn't a guy who had any business going day 2, honestly. Trey Smith, I think. He shouldn't have been a day 2 pick.
Yeah.
Like, day 2 should have been the latest, and I'm talking about round 2 should have been the latest. Meanwhile, they get him in the 7th, and they got a starter for the next 5-10 years, barring injury. And then this year is the opposite. So if you go 1 year further, that kicked those guys that even a little bit less guys that aren't as talented as Trey. If Trey could go 7th, it kicked them down. And I love the point you brought up about people. If you just show up and do your job, especially as offensive lineman, and you don't play tackle, I feel like it was just like, it is what it is.
Yeah, that's another issue with you almost feel bad for the guards. Is teams feel like they can fly tackle the guard.
Yeah.
So now the guards are just, unless you're super hyped like a Lindenbaum or even the A&M and BC kid, they both played all 5 positions. So that benefits them also. But if you're just on that next tier, you kind of got lost. And again, teams are like Dallas took a tackle to play guard.
We took 2 tackles to play guard with no intention of them playing tackle at all.
They talk about moving tackles in center now. So before guards don't even have that to fall back on.
And I think it's because what's it called? What have we heard before we get out of here? What have we heard all through the regular season last year? It was, man, the interior, like the offensive line athletically as a whole, they have to catch up to these defensive linemen, especially the interior defensive linemen. So some teams are jumping out ahead of this early. Not all, but some are like, all right, cool. So you might not be special enough to play tackle in our league. Damn sure more than athletic enough to play guard.
Right.
And if you're comfortable in space, we teach you how to rock with bodies next to you. And again, some of these premier interior rushers, they're cleaner hand game wise than edge rushers. Like the elite interior rushers, oh man, those are guys that could go win out on the edge, but why?
Right. Well, the league is getting smaller, like you said. So then you end up putting, you end up third downs, you're moving your ends in the tackle, and in the D tackle. So now they're beating their guards with athletic ability. So now you move your tackle who may struggle occasionally with some of the speed rushers. He comes inside, but he's got people to each side of him.
Yep.
And he's better there, but he knows how to move a little bit. So it's just the way the game goes. So now when they go smaller now, and you put the smaller guys, now you're gonna get these Jordan Davises inside who these small tackles can't handle. Like, it's just
not
at all. Chess match.
And that's the tough part is ideally you want to find that tackle with some weight that moves very well that you can slide in the guard. So when you deal with the Jordan Davises, they still have enough of an anchor to not die in there.
Right.
Dealing with Jordan Davis, Chris Jones, things of that nature. There's those really big bodies where they just tell the big dude, go forward. Just break stuff. Just go forward. But again, guys, we're gonna get into we're gonna break down this draft team by team, little by little over the next coming weeks. So if you guys got suggestions or specific things you want to talk about as the draft goes, just let us know. We're gonna get out of here today. We'll see you guys tomorrow.